The Army is working on a laser prototype that can take down drones in midair. The service plans to field 4 laser-equipped combat vehicles in fiscal year 2022. Retired Army Major General John Ferrari is visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. He's the former director of program analysis and evaluation for the Army. General, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So describe this laser weapon for us. What does it shoot down? How far can it shoot?
Well, this is significant for the Army. The Navy and the Air Force have been experimenting with lasers for a long time, and of course they have the advantage of a lot of power on their platforms. The Army has been limited in using lasers because it's been hard to transport on the battlefield the amount of power needed to use the lasers. So the fact that the Army is now able to put a laser on a Stryker with the power needed to use it could be very important to future warfare.
You say very important to future warfare. Does this weapon alter the nature of war for the DoD?
So I think it may it may portend the altering of future war across all nations, right? Because if the Army can solve for power, then so can other nations. Right now, lasers have been the purview of big nation states. Think the Chinese, the United States, and their high-end parts of their military. So as you solve for power, think proliferation across the battlefield. And so now lasers can be used not just by the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army may have a monopoly on it for a couple of years, but it will quickly proliferate on the battlefield and also into the hands of our adversaries.
And when you say our adversaries, are we talking about, I mean, how expensive and easy to get would this weapon be? Are we talking about terrorist groups, insurgents groups?
So I would say right now that it's probably lower end nation states because you're still talking about carting around these weapons in vehicles. However, the ability to solve for power and the speed at which technology is advancing, these could become, think Star Trek, where people have phasers and other lasers on the battlefield.
You know, we said that they can shoot down drones. Could they eventually shoot down jets?
So I think that, those are ground-to-air lasers that can shoot down drones, and yes, they'll be able to shoot down jets, but think then also ground-to-ground or air-to-ground. So think of if you can solve for power in a vehicle. Right now, we look at the proliferation of drones across the battlefield. They can only deliver kinetic munitions. Think in the future, if we can get power down enough, then you can arm a drone that can fly anywhere in the world with a laser weapon. And as it was noted by the Army, the thing about laser weapons is they have unlimited munitions. Right now, the drones that can fly autonomously or under remote control from anybody is limited to its TNT tonnage, right? If you put lasers on there, they could become much more threatening on both sides of the battlefield.
Well, you mentioned that the Navy and the Air Force are working on their own similar systems. How would they use a laser weapon?
So the Navy uses laser weapons to protect its ships, and so it has it is able to use the power of the ship, the nuclear reactors and the big engines to power lasers to intercept missiles coming at the ships. The Air Force has been looking at lasers off of big planes in order to target things on the ground. But again, if you put a laser on something like a C-130, you can carry a lot of power with it. Where it will be interesting is as the Navy and the Air Force go to more drone aircraft, now you can look at putting some of these lasers on aircraft because of the lower power requirement.
Is there coordination, General, among the services, or is each service kind of developing their own thing here?
Well, so I would say there's tremendous coordination in the fact that this has for a long time been basic science that has to be solved for, both energy and power. And so the Army has been watching for many, many years what's been going on in the Navy and the Air Force. The Army has its unique problems that the Navy and the Air Force don't, as I said, which is kind of dirty terrain, smaller vehicles, have to bring lower power to bear. And so it's been working on that part of the challenge while leaving the other parts to the other services and to industry and to academia.
What's the overall goal of these types of weapons? What do you see as the end state? What's coming next?
Well, what's coming next for the Army is an air defense system on a mobile vehicle. But that then becomes the tipping point, perhaps, towards using lasers for not just for counter drone or counter air, but also to kill things on the ground, but also potentially more importantly, communications. Because if you can use lasers between ground and satellites, you can really establish communications links that heretofore have not been possible.
All right, well, General, very good. Nice talking to you, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.